It's the cleanest of clean finishes from the best on the planet.
It's time for the biggest sports stories.
Liverpool, the champions of Europe, are top of the world.
The biggest interviews.
That such a great spectacle is ruined by such thuggish behaviour.
And all the analysis right here.
He's the one player that has the arrogance to think that he can play in any stadium in the world and any pitch in the world in front of any player in the world and take them on.
Every weekday, it's my sport, it's your sport. It's ZiFM Sport. Let's join the team for the biggest show in the world of sport on ZiFM Stereo. My station, your station.
We normally dub it Wacky Wednesday, but today, Scandal Wednesday might be more fitting because there is scandal on the home front. The big story in the world of sport today, former Zimbabwe coach and captain Heath Streak has been banned for 8 years after being charged with multiple breaches of the ICC's anti-corruption code. It's a development that has left local cricket fans reeling. Now, the International Cricket Council, that's the ICC, found that Streak, who's now 47 years old, engaged with an Indian man known as Mr. X. Sounds like a script straight out of a James Bond movie. And this was during his coaching time with the Chevrons and in the 20 T20 leagues across Asia. The fans are reeling, and even us, the Pandas, have been taken aback. Stay locked to ZiFM Sport as we discuss that story and more on Wacky Wednesday. And the old strike force is back together again for the first half of the show. It's like Shearer and Sutton, Raul and Morientes, Henry and Bergkamp. Maybe not as prolific, but hopefully as good. It's Barry and Mike on ZiFM Sport.
Indeed. And later on, Alois Bunjira will be chiming in when we get to the beautiful game. And then around the world, the 60, which comes before the beautiful game, we take off in New Zealand, where Pacific Islands teams Moana Pacifica and Fijian Drua have been granted conditional licenses to join a proposed Super Rugby competition next year in the Principality of Monaco. Stefanos Tsitsipas made a winning start to the Monte Carlo Masters after the world number 5 cruised past Aslan Karatsev in straight sets and into the last 16. And in news from India, the Rajasthan Royals have announced that England all-rounder Ben Stokes has been ruled out of the Indian Premier League with a broken finger.
In the second half of the show, where Alois Bunjira, the former Warrior striker, takes center stage, it's the beautiful game, and it's not all doom and gloom in Catalonia as FC Barcelona have climbed to the top of the list of the world's most valuable clubs, with Forbes setting their value at a staggering $4.7 billion despite their huge financial problems. The Champions League is on. It's the business end and the action will continue tonight. But before that, we'll review the Bayern Munich game with PSG, and the Germans actually feel that the best team did not reach the semi-finals after they went out on away goals. But PSG coach Mauricio Pochettino has reminded them that as well as being the beautiful game, football is a fight, and the Parisians won the battle. In tonight's action, it'll be the turn of Liverpool to try a remontada, but Jurgen Klopp says the Reds' history of Champions League comebacks is of no relevance for their quarterfinal second leg at home to Real Madrid.
The Home Front. Local sports news and analysis.
A reminder for WhatsApp number once again, 0731 168 045. That's 0731 168 045. We're also on Twitter. Follow and interact with at ZiFM Sport, or us by name. You can search for us. That is Barry Menandi, Mike Madula, Shunta Firenyika, Mark Pozzo, Alois Bunjira, Chris Midzi. We are all there ready to talk sport, local as well as international. Now, let's get on that story. But before I actually get to the story, I mean, social media is burning right now with the Heath Streak story, and you know, everyone, almost everyone with an interest in Zimbabwe sport, no matter the age, people just coming in, the full spectrum of Zimbabwe's community weighing in. And we've just received a message here from Dumiso Gumede, former ZIFA vice president, now the president of Highlanders Football Club. Mdara Gums, he's weighed in and he says, what a shocker. My homeboy has ruined all the good work he did all his life. Unbelievable, but true. I did say that fans are reeling. Pundits are shocked, and the rest of Zimbabwe too. We go to Victoria Falls, and it's a good evening to Philip Kapaizi. We used to call him Capsize when we were at school. Rangy tall fella, played as a lock. I believe he's at a Victoria Falls Safari Lodge now, working in the hospitality industry, and he just goes, hey, Pakaipa.
And Pakaipa Zeshua. We're going to get to that Heath Streak story straight after our local sports news roundup.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z.
Let's start with rugby, where Zimbabwe Cheetahs coach Daniel Hondo has named his training squad for the upcoming tough Olympic Games repechage set for Monaco in June. Hondo, a veteran of many Cheetahs battles, both as a player and coach, said time was running out for them to get the team ready for the repechage. With 11 of the 12 teams set to compete at the Tokyo Olympics already confirmed, the Cheetahs must now fight for the final spot, which will be up for grabs at the repechage tournament. On to athletics news. Junior athletes looking at competing at this year's World Under-20 Athletics Championships in August will have a chance to attain the qualifying times when they compete in the National Junior Championship set for the 25th of April in Bulawayo. The competition, organized by the National Athletics Association of Zimbabwe, the NAAZ, will be used as a platform to identify and select representatives for the global meet to be held in Kenya. Let's wrap it up with news out of the top tier of domestic football. Now, a potentially crippling standoff looms between Harare Giants Dynamo's executive and head coach Tundarai Stanzandiraya following the unceremonious suspension of his assistant coach Gift Umbro Muzadzi, who also doubled up as goalkeepers coach. Muzadzi, who is Ndiraya's most trusted lieutenant, was suspended without benefits for alleged insubordination. According to sources, Ndiraya is not happy by the executive's decision, and he is pondering walking away if Muzadzi is not brought back. The Glamour Boys, not so glamorous at the moment.
Hi, my name is Sean Williams, Zimbabwe cricket captain. You're listening to ZiFM Sport.
Z. From the front of the grid to the back of the net, it's ZiFM Sport.
Scandal looming at Dynamos, but scandal already knocking at the door. In fact, the door is ajar at Zimbabwe cricket. The news broke at about midday today, and that is the only story on the lips of cricket fans. Former Zimbabwe captain and legend Heath Streak has been banned for 8 years after being charged with multiple breaches of the ICC's anti-corruption code. Streak, who is one of Zimbabwe's greatest bowlers, has been under investigation for what is believed to be an extensive list of games in 2017 and 2018 from his post-playing career as a coach. The games include some in international cricket, as well as stints in T20 leagues, including the IPL, the BPL, and the Afghanistan Premier League. That is the news, Barry, that has got tongues wagging.
Disappointing. And listen, I think a fair place to start is with our own reaction to it. And in truth, our reaction to it and my reaction to it is utter disappointment because of the stature and status of Heath Streak, the way we hold him in such high esteem. And for this to be the ignominious way in which we then get a revelation that they are actually, there's elements that besmirch that fantastic record of him representing the country as both player and coach, really is a gut punch for all of us as fans of the Chevrons, but also fans of Heath Streak.
I love the use of the word besmirch. You guys, you might want to whip out your dictionaries and just find out what exactly Barry Menandi is talking about. Now, the charges that are leveled against Heath Streak are as follows: disclosing inside information that may have been used for betting purposes, directly or indirectly soliciting, inducing, enticing, persuading, encouraging, or intentionally facilitating any participant to breach the code. Number 3, failing to disclose the receipt of any gift, payment, hospitality, or other benefit that the participant knew or should have known was given to them to procure a breach of the code. And number 4, failing to disclose full details of approaches to engage in corrupt conduct. And number 5, obstructing or delaying an investigation, including concealing, tampering with, or destroying any documentation or other information that may be relevant to the investigation. I did say the approaches, Barry, were made in 2017, 2018, and I did talk about the leagues in which these approaches happened. And Streak choosing to admit the charges and he agreed a sanction in lieu of a hearing at the ICC, meaning that the sanction could have been heavier and far greater had he gone through the full disciplinary process.
Absolutely, and had he been hostile to the investigations that were conducted by the ICC, and from what we've read and found out about the charges and indeed the way the investigations took place, Heath Streak was cooperative with the ICC, and that helped in mitigation. He admitted his wrongs and his ills concerning this so-called Mr. X of Indian origin, who was the guy who was soliciting the information and all sorts. So I think that helped him, and yes, I agree with you. It could have been a lot heavier.
Now, you spent the greater part of the afternoon just going through the charge sheet. Now, what can you tell us about Mr. X? I did say he sounds like a character out of a James Bond movie. So what can you tell us about Mr. X, and why was it easy for Mr. X to get to Heath Streak?
Okay, in essence, what took place was that when Heath Streak was conducting his duties as Zimbabwe coach, as the bowling coach for the Kolkata Knight Riders in the IPL, and in the Afghanistan Premier League, which you mentioned in 28 for the Kabul Zwanan, he was approached by Mr. X on the premise that Mr. X wanted to start a T20 league in Zimbabwe, and he said he asked if Heath Streak was interested in starting that T20 league with him. Obviously, Heath Streak, being a passionate cricketer and loving the game, was definitely interested. The way they were going to do this was that Heath Streak was going to provide information. They were going to raise a few bob, and then use that money and invest it into the start of this T20 league.
But surely you should have known better, Barry. This is a guy who you've just reeled off the teams that have trusted him to be head coach. Okay, this is his post-playing career. But if we go to his playing career, Barry, long, illustrious career for Zimbabwe, played county cricket. This is a guy who played at a couple of World Cups, if not more. This is a guy who was captain of the Chevrons. So this is a guy who should have known better. You go back to even his school days out at Falcon College in Esgodini. He was a leader.
Yeah.
So he should have known better.
And you're sounding like the ICC, because I'm going to read it verbatim from the statement from the ICC, point number 6, which says, throughout his professional career, Mr. Streak has attended numerous anti-corruption education sessions conducted on behalf of the ICC. These sessions contain reminders of the obligations of participants under the code, including the duty of participants not to engage in corrupt conduct under the code. So he knew that he ought not to conduct these operations, but did. And in truth, all he did was he gave information. He introduced players to Mr. X, number one, in those various leagues, and of course with the national team. And then also he then provided information that related to the teams. Now, this information in truth could have been used for any purpose, but the danger is that the information could have been used for betting as well. It doesn't necessarily say that the information was used for betting or that the information influenced the results, but the fact that it could have been used for betting is where the problem starts.
Let's go to Twitter. Joe Black, he's out in France, in Montpellier, I believe, and he has gone simple. 3 words, Barry: shameless, utter disgrace. And that is the general sentiment of many cricket fans, especially here in Zimbabwe, who feel betrayed. You did point out you yourself are disappointed. You viewed Heath Streak as one of the luminaries of the game. Here is a guy who led Zimbabwe as a captain, as a player, at one time comfortably ranked as one of the top 10 bowlers in the world. And we're talking about a golden generation of bowlers where there was Glenn McGrath, there was Wasim Akram, there was Waka Yunus, there was Alan Donald, White Lightning, they called him, the likes of Chaminda Vas, really great bowlers, and Heath Streak was mixing it with the best in international cricket. So there are many people who were inspired by Heath Streak, especially the generation of the 90s that was school in the 90s. They looked up to Heath Streak because Zimbabwe was doing great things on the world and international scene, qualifying for the Super 6 stage of the 1999 Cricket World Cup, and Heath Streak was a big part of that story. And now, Barry, that reputation to borrow your word, has been besmirched.
No, Paribo, you did well. It wasn't out of place whatsoever. And the further thing that I think lends to the disappointment of the fans, lends to the disappointment of everyone within world cricket, is the fact that this relationship between Heath Streak and Mr. X was over a long period, 15 months. These guys were meeting and conducting activities that Heath Streak, I'm sure, knew that were wrong. And in truth, with the record, the ability, the jobs that he was getting, there was no need for him to be conducting this. So it renders you incredulous to think that why did he do this? But in truth, I think at that stage it seemed like the right thing to do.
Ray Muko 11 on Twitter says, every time I think about cricket, I remember that World Cup qualifier we lost against the United Arab Emirates. And of course, Heath Streak resigning, quitting soon after that, Barry. And I want to go to a message from Father Keketso on Twitter again. Now, this is the extreme end of the reactions. Anzi ngasungwe ngaende kujerimane band kuita sei muchibirira nyika izvozvi anzi achipfuma anzi so this is a guy who feels that okay, he should be prosecuted, chucked into jail, the key is thrown away. Now, the SRC has weighed in, the Ministry of Sport have weighed in, and they're talking about wanting to investigate further to see if there is any criminal liability according to the laws of the land, and Heath Streak can be prosecuted. But from what you have studied, Barry, of the ICC statement, will that carry any weight? Will that hold any water? Will they be able to find anything there?
Okay, I can't see it holding weight. And provisor, I'm not a lawyer, so there could be something in there that is in between the lines.
Mr. Menandi.
Exactly, yes. Mr. Barry Menandi.
Yes.
But in truth, in what we've looked at, what we've seen, I can't see any criminal liability that relates to the laws of the nation of Zimbabwe. And in particular,
why do you say that?
Okay, in particular, I'm going to look at 2 points on the ICC statement or the investigatory report, which says that the fact that the offences did not, this is in mitigation to the charges that they prosecuted over Heath Streak. They say the fact that the offences did not substantially damage the commercial value and or public interest in the relevant matches. And then the second point is the fact that the offences did not affect the outcome of the relevant matches. So to say that it was match fixing would be incorrect. So
in a nutshell, it's not match fixing.
It's not match fixing. That's by the
So
ICC's
what is he guilty
admission.
of?
He's guilty of breaching the anti-corruption code, which is governed and superintended by the ICC's ACU, the Anti-Corruption Unit. And the code says that you are not to share information that may be used for betting purposes. You're not to introduce various individuals, like players, to individuals such as Alice Bunjira, who could use that information that they get from those people for betting purposes. And that's what he did with Mr. X.
So was it disingenuous or he was naive?
I think to an extent there is a level of naivety, because I think let's look at the goal, and the ICC report says the goal. The goal was he wanted to launch a T20 league in Zimbabwe. That's what that was the big plan. And even if you look at the amounts, what they tracked down was 2 Bitcoin, valued at $35,000. I'm sure Heath Streak was making more than that in the IPL. And then an iPhone that was given as a gift for his wife from Mr. X. Those are the 2 elements of some sort of benefit that Heath Streak got. The fact that he didn't declare them, he falls foul of the ICC anti-corruption code. So you look at those elements, what he got from this, you can't think to yourself that he actually wanted to make money from this. He wanted the T20 league in Zimbabwe. I firmly believe that.
Okay, let's go back to Twitter. Vincent Kahia, distinguished member of the media here in Zimbabwe, I think now working in the advertising industry, says, I just remembered the Hansi Cronje hate headlines after the South African legend fell. Now, Barry, listen, I don't want to use the word again, besmirched, but this is tarnished. I love it, by the way, besmirched. Just sounds so British, you know. We could be sipping on tea out in Worcester, you know. Yeah,
besmirches the character of Mr. Streak.
Absolutely, you know, like Meghan Markle besmirching the character of the royal family. How dare she do that?
Michael.
American. Anyway, so the Yank. So listen. Now this is going to be a problem, is it, for his legacy?
It is.
Yeah,
it is.
this is a problem for his legacy.
And I'm quite glad that you raised the Hansi Cronje saga. I think it was by Vincent Kahia. Owen in Harare has also said on our WhatsApp platform, this is Zimbabwe's very own Hansi Cronje saga. Now, again, it is easy for us to say that because of the stature and the size of the character we're talking about, which is Heath Streak. But Hansi Cronje was more match fixing. Heath Streak is, in truth, sharing information that could have been used for betting, but not necessarily being part of the betting, not fixing matches, and so on and so forth. Yes, it's a scandal of cosmological proportions, but I stress, it's not match fixing.
Tafadzwa Mushusha says, Wone, good evening to you. You just say, extremely disappointing. And so, I think a lot of cricket fans, Barry, are just in disbelief. And I guess questions will also start coming up around, okay, how about Zimbabwe? Okay? Did anything happen as far as the chevrons is concerned? Did anything happen that affects the game locally?
Okay, in the ICC report, it is mentioned that I think it was the tour of Bangladesh and the tour of the series against Afghanistan. And those are mentioned by name. However, when you then look at the detail of the report, there's no mention of Zimbabwean players, Zimbabwean games, and how they were affected in light of all of this. So I'm not sure whether Zimbabwean games, we can't say for sure from the report by the ICC whether Zimbabwean games were affected. The fact that there is no element of match fixing, I don't think the results were affected by this, but certainly I think there was something around the Zimbabwe team.
Kudakwashe Gambe says, this is disappointing, not when it's someone who made me fall in love with a gentleman's game, a decorated career soiled. You know what, Mbiba Dlamini, as I can almost hear him saying in Sindebele, well, they're not mad. He's put his hand up. He's admitted to the charges leveled against him by the ICC, and it is an 8-year ban that is on right now. Okay, it's kicked off, and Heath Streak will have to return to the game that he loves in 2029.
Indeed, and our WhatsApp platform is blowing up, Mike. Darawe Pamiki says, hi guys, Barry, don't play devil's advocate. Do you know how much no balls give you? Ask our local boys who play franchise cricket here. It's all about match fixing. Are you suggesting, Darawe Pamiki, that there's match fixing in our local game?
And also, listen, I think from Darawe Pamiki, talk about playing devil's advocate, you can only go on the information that provided by the ICC. The rest of it is speculation.
Yes.
So if the ICC says 35,000, that's what they found out in their investigations, then we're going to have to have discussions around 35,000. Anything else not revealed by their investigations is mere speculation. So we can talk about, oh my God, he could have been earning $500,000, or he could have been earning $1 million, but it's not there on the charge sheet.
Yeah, Mr. T in Wulawayo gives us a bit more speculation, Mike, if you go fancy that.
There we go.
Tarnished and tainted, and he says TT. The quick admission of guilt tells me there is more dirt which could have been unearthed. Believe you me. So he reckons that the quick admission of guilt was to cover up whatever was there, or it could just be that he was contrite.
Yeah, he could have been just contrite. And just to sum it all up, Barry, because we've got to take a breather and give you some international sports news, and then also dip into our play of the day on Wacky Wednesday. Nikki S. Mugobera says the legendary tag has been tainted for sure. And the messages keep coming in on WhatsApp.
They do, and I have to read this because it's from Tinashe Chiwavu in Mavuku. Mike, he says, besmirching, meaning causing harm or damage to the reputation of someone or something. Heath Streak, shocked.
Hi, this is Mike Madura. You can catch me and the team for all the latest breaking news out of the world of sport, local as well as international, on your favorite station, my station, your station, ZiFM. We are Z-Team on ZiFM Sport.
Z. International Sports News Roundup, where the world comes out to play.
Around
Around the world in 60 seconds. International sports news.
Our takeoff point is New Zealand, where Pacific Island teams Moana Pacifica and Fijian Drua have been granted conditional licenses to join a proposed Super Rugby competition next year. The New Zealand Rugby Board's decision is a major step towards the teams joining New Zealand and Australian Super Rugby sides in a new tournament in 2022. In the Principality of Monaco, Stefanos Tsitsipas made a winning start to the Monte Carlo Masters after world number 5 cruised past Aslan Karatsev 6-3, 6-4 into the last 16. Greek Tsitsipas, who had been given a bye into the second round, took just 1 hour and 24 minutes to beat 29th ranked Russian Karatsev. Tsitsipas will be joined in the round of 16 by world number 1 Novak Djokovic, who dispatched Yannick Sinner 6-4, 6-2 in the second round. Let's wrap it up and land in India, where Rajasthan Royals have said England all-rounder Ben Stokes has been ruled out of the Indian Premier League, the IPL, with a broken finger. The Royals say Stokes was injured while fielding during their 4-run loss to Punjab Kings on Monday. England say their medical staff are in contact and Stokes will have a second X-ray in the next 24 to 48 hours to assess the seriousness of the injury.
Zimbabwe's finest breed. ZiFM Stereo.
Fan Zone. Get in touch with the team and have your say, your way.
Operator.
Your say, your way on ZiFM Stereo, ZiFM Sport. On my station, your station. The number to use, 0731-168-045. Let's say it's slower. 0731-168-045. That's strictly for WhatsApp messages. Send them through and you will be like George in Harare, who wants to chime in on the Heath Streak story by saying, is it Heathgate or what? What do we call it? It's almost Asiagate, isn't it, Mike?
Because Asiagate Part 2. Yes. Now, if I was an editor of a newspaper, that's what I would go for.
Asiagate 2.
Asiagate 2.
Indeed. This one says, good evening. In relation to Heath Streak story, it's really disappointing, but could we please forgive him as quickly as we did Smith, Warner et al., who in my opinion probably had less noble intentions than Mr. Streak? That's an interesting take on that one. It's talking about
no. I think that's apples and oranges. I think the Smith Warner example is a poor one. Because they were trying to cheat. That's trying to cheat as a team, okay, to win. It's got nothing to do with in terms of betting and so forth and breaching the ICC code of conduct and so forth. So I think we're comparing apples and oranges, and those guys served their time. Let's not forget that. And let's not forget some of our favorites who got a slap on the wrist for committing crimes that were worse than Warner and Smith. And the reason that Warner and Smith served as much time as they did is because Cricket Australia are the ones who actually removed the cover from their players. What we've seen in years gone by, even when Sachin Tendulkar was accused of a similar thing, the BCCI were quick to protect him. When South African players have been accused of the same thing, they've immediately jumped up and protected their players. When Michael Atherton was accused of the same thing, the ECB protected their player. So you know what, I've always had a bit of sympathy for Smith and Warner, because they served a lot of time because Cricket Australia wanted to draw a line in the sand, and they've now set a very high bar for the other cricket organizations that, you know what, when something like this happens on the field of play, you've got to go big.
And no doubt Heath Streak will serve his time as well. 8 years it's been sanctioned by ICC. Now this one says, hopefully Heath Streak was not involved in some sort of betting in our failure to qualify for the previous World Cup.
That's the big question, isn't it?
It is indeed that, was he involved or wasn't he?
Okay, let's go to Twitter. Wonekai Gandhi says, what does it mean for his cricket academy? Will he be involved with that? Well, I can answer the second question. No, he can't be involved with that because he's been banned from all forms of cricket. And Barry, it leaves the fate of the academy up in the air.
Yeah, it's up in the air because in truth it's named after him. So you then think to yourself, is it wise to maintain that name? It is an institution that's different to him. And look, it's an interesting one that we'll see how it will play out in the next few weeks. I just want to ask Alois, from a perspective of a former professional athlete like yourself, your thoughts on this very, very damning indictment on the conduct of Heath Streak.
He's a peer as well, for Alois.
Yes.
You know, you guys were starring at the same time.
Yeah, it's quite disappointing, Barry, honestly, because when you play sport, you need all the honesty that you can get. There's fans out there that are watching the games, that are putting their hopes, like somebody said that they got inspired by the player, and all that. And when it gets taken away like that, when it gets sold, it becomes disappointing. And at the same time, we start having these questions: was he involved in match fixing or not? Right. The integrity is thrown out of the window. We don't know. Like you said, the charges were drawn. We know you read the charges, but we will have lingering questions out there. Was he involved in more? Was he involved in the Zimbabwean? Now my mind is also going to the Zimbabwean situation. We lost qualification where we thought we were going to qualify, and he was in charge. So we start thinking back. So this is actually a very disappointing situation. But the fact that it was not really match fixing at the same time, it actually gives us some little, hope. Maybe angari sincere, So we don't know. But still, it's disappointing for a big time sportsman like him to be involved in something that is not allowed in his sporting code.
And as we wrap up the fan zone, Barry, going to Twitter, and Nathan Mahachi asked the question: was he struggling financially, or he was just greedy? To which Brian Mugota says he has a very massive trucking company. So I don't think it is a question of Heath Streak struggling financially.
In fact, Eno from Mulawayo, who sends us a WhatsApp message, has almost an answer, Mike. And he says, in all honesty, Heath just got naive. Mr. X played a quick one on him. Don't think it warrants us to drag his name in the dirt.
ZiFM Stereo is untouchable.
The big leagues, the big teams, the big players. The beautiful game on ZiFM Sport. The league that makes football oh so beautiful. Where artistry and strokes of genius are the order of any day. Where the game is played with a smile and the little master creates his magic.
It's Lionel Messi!
All the news from the Spanish La Liga on ZiFM Sport.
The goal the world wants it!
We're starting in Spain, as you heard there. Now, Barcelona tops the Forbes list of the world's 20 most valuable football teams for the first time, knocking Real Madrid to number 2. Barcelona is valued at 4.76 billion, just nudging out Real Madrid at 4.75 billion US dollars. The top spot had been monopolized by two teams for the previous 16 years, with Real Madrid taking it 5 times and England's Manchester United 11 times. And Barcelona has streaked ahead. Alois, this is a very interesting development, and I want to tie it to something here, because I want to tie it to the Lionel Messi saga, whereby we saw that huge fight where the Lionel Messi, does he stay, does he go? Then it emerged that he's the highest paid player in the world, and the amounts were absolutely eye-watering. You've got to say that the value of Barcelona Football Club is inextricably tied to Lionel Messi being a Barcelona player.
Yeah, of course, but when you look at it, that's why they don't want him to leave. Because once he leaves, the value drops. There's no doubt about it. And also that they overtook Real Madrid. It actually comes to the issue of Cristiano Ronaldo as well. Yeah. Did the value of Real Madrid also drop when Cristiano Ronaldo left? So because these players are big name players, these are big time players, their value puts the clubs at the top. So Lionel Messi is a very big asset for Barcelona, not on the field of play only, but as well as the commercial value.
Yeah, and a lot of people, Mike, would look at possibly revenue and other metrics like that, but very few then cast their eye on the assets of the club. And by that, we can talk about stadiums and all sorts, but the playing assets are also a key component of valuing a club, and you keep your best players, your value holds firm at the very least.
Yeah, absolutely. And when people talked about that huge Lionel Messi contract, where people were shocked to discover that Lionel Messi, I think, is earning about 110 million a year, just in terms of pay from Barcelona. They also then did not know the information that Lionel Messi is reported to generate up to 30% of Barcelona's revenue. Now, Barcelona, by revenue, is actually the wealthiest largest club in the world.
Right.
They're generating over 700 million in terms of revenue, more than any other club in the world. Now, you do simple maths. So what is 30% of revenue?
No, there we go.
Okay. And so Lionel Messi was simply being paid half of what he is generating.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good deal for him. So that was never an issue. That is why Barcelona can afford to pay him such a huge amount. Like Aloy said, he is directly responsible for the value that has accrued to Barcelona over the last 14 years, of which he has been a big part and integral in what Barcelona has managed to achieve on the field of play. Let's not forget, Barcelona are the most successful team of the last decade.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget that. Okay, so yes, we remember Real Madrid won the Champions League 3 times in a row. Barcelona over the Lionel Messi's career have won it 4 times. And then let's not forget that they've won 8 out of 11 La Liga titles. So they've been dominating on the domestic front whilst also winning in Europe. It's just the last 5 years which have been a bit lean. So, and that success is what has led to Barcelona being a team that would not have been in the top 10 as far as valuation is concerned in 2005, for example, now sitting at the top of the list. But another team you need to watch out for, Barry, Liverpool Football Club. Liverpool Football Club's value is now just 100 million less than Manchester United. Think of it this way. Liverpool was bought for just less than 400 million. And in a decade, J.W. Henry has turned Liverpool from a club worth 380 million to a club that is now worth over 4 billion.
4.1 billion
That
to be
is
exact.
staggering business acumen.
It's absolutely staggering. And you got to say that Manchester United, or the aficionados at Manchester United, the business side of United, will be a little concerned because Liverpool in 5th are 4.1 billion valued. And then Manchester United in 4th are valued at 4.2 billion, 100 million ahead of Liverpool. And that's got to concern United because they were battling with Real Madrid as the top valued clubs. But success breeds value, and unfortunately Manchester United has been bereft of a lot of that.
Someone was sitting on the job. They've been sitting on the job. I think complacency as well. They were like, we are the biggest club. They thought that money would just roll in because they are the biggest club. They didn't know that. They didn't think that you need to keep on working. You need to keep on showing up so that you can actually maintain that this is what Barcelona, Real Madrid have been doing. They kept on going. Liverpool, they kept on going. They kept on putting things in place. But Manchester United, you can actually see that there was a stagnation point where they just sat and they're like, okay, we can do it, and then success ran away. And for those years as well, it affected them commercially as well. So this is actually part of the system. If they had maintained, probably they could be.
To add to Alois's point, Manchester United has been overtaken by Bayern Munich.
Right.
Bayern Munich is now third on the list behind Barcelona and Real Madrid, and they have now a value that would have been unthinkable 10 years ago. There is no way Bayern Munich would have had the same value as Manchester United.
Absolutely. Especially given the TV money in England, especially given that, when you look at pound for pound, the German league versus the English league, you can't it's apples and oranges.
And it isn't just Liverpool close again. Man City is now valued at 4 billion. So they're only 200 million behind. And if they can carry on sustaining the success that they've enjoyed over the last decade, they will overtake both Liverpool and Manchester United.
This is interesting to track, but let me assure you, you're listening to ZiFM Sport and not talking business on a Wednesday. Here's a final stat for you. The world's 20 most valuable soccer teams are worth an average of $2.2 billion apiece, an increase of 30% from 2 years ago. Takanange Pichu.
We are your station of choice, the People's Station, ZiFM Stereo.
Okay, let's try and estimate. How much do you think Dynamos is worth?
Mate, with or without Mzadzi?
But just value goes down without Mzadzi as well.
But just rough estimate.
Rough estimate.
If you were to put an offer for Dynamos Football Club,
listen, I think we could do a deal at about 50k.
Shucks. 50 grand.
DK, yeah.
The value of a second-hand D4D Toyota twin cab.
Because most
Barry.
of the players are on one-year contract, which means that there's no value in
And
that.
then they don't have assets, they don't have facilities, they don't have a stadium, they don't have anything. All they have
the good one.
is dynamos and 7 million supporters. And the
I'm going
same.
to get shot for that answer.
Right, let's go to the UEFA Champions League. There was action last night. Bayern Munich feeling that the best team did not reach the semi-finals after they went out on away goals. But PSG coach Mauricio Pochettino has reminded them that as well as being the beautiful game, football is a fight. You know what? Very interesting game because yes, Bayern Munich, Alois can talk about the best team was knocked out. But PSG were actually spot on in terms of their game plan, their approach, and also let's not discount the amount of chances that PSG created.
Yeah, I think they kind of like delusion because they had possession, they played good football, pretty football, and they thought that they dominated. But then, truth be told, game plan wise, it was PSG that got the spot on. They created the most chances, obvious chances, and some of them were surprised that they actually missed the chances. For me, I think by halftime it could have been 4-0 in favor of Paris Saint-Germain.
Because Neymar, before halftime, twice he had hit the hoodwork, and they'd missed a couple of other gilt-aged opportunities.
One with the keeper.
Yeah, I mean, the good save by Neuer, etc. So it was a very interesting game. Now, let's hear from Mauricio Pochettino, who says that winning against Bayern doesn't make PSG favourites to win the Champions League.
No, I don't think we are the favourites to win the Champions League. It is true that we have beaten Barcelona in the last 16 and now we have beaten Bayern Munich over 2 games. I think we deserved to win both games, but I don't think PSG is the main contender to win the Champions League. There are still many good rivals in it. We have qualified, and Chelsea did as well today. We will see tomorrow in the ties between Manchester City and Borussia Dortmund and Liverpool against Real Madrid. Any team which is in the semi-finals has a chance to win.
That is Mauricio Pochettino, the former Spurs manager, now managing PSG. Is he being realistic? Or is he just being humble, Barry? Just trying to keep his players, their heads in the game? Because you can't overlook the fact that Mauricio Pochettino ended Barcelona's brilliant home record in the Champions League, which was spanning, I think, 53 games.
Sure.
And now he becomes the first side to beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League in donkey years and knock out Hansi Flick. No one had managed to beat Hansi Flick in a 2-legged affair in the Champions League. He's done so.
Yeah.
Has he got the key?
Notwithstanding the points you've just made, I still feel that he's being realistic. Here's why. He's got the right tools to dismantle Bayern Munich. Why? Because of Bayern Munich's high line. He's got pace in his front three, Mbappe, Di Maria and Neymar.
But can I stop you there, Barry?
Sure.
Because Tuchel, with those same players, failed to do so.
Tuchel tried to then balance it out and try
He wanted to match them.
He wanted to match them.
So Pochettino has got the keys.
To beat Bayern.
To beat Bayern, yes.
He doesn't necessarily have the keys to beat a City, to beat a Chelsea, to beat whoever he's going to meet possibly in the final. So I'm going to say that, yes, he's being realistic that they're not the favourites. They've beaten Bayern, and congratulations to them, and they found a way to beat Bayern. There's work to be done.
Okay, the other match that was played last night was Chelsea taking on Porto. And of course, Chelsea are now looking forward to playing either Liverpool or Real Madrid. They lost 1-0 on the night, but they'd done the business last week 2-0. Just like PSG, who lost on the night, but they'd done the business the previous week on the road. That is the story of Chelsea. Congratulations to them. They're into the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League for the 8th time, the most of any English team actually in the version of the competition known as the UEFA Champions League.
Hi, my name is Rune Shamba, Mytoria's Super Striker. You're listening to ZiFM Sports.
There's action tonight in the Champions League, and Jurgen Klopp says Liverpool's history of Champions League comebacks is of no relevance for tonight's quarter-final second leg at home to Real Madrid. The Reds trail 3-1 ahead of the return leg, drawing numerous comparisons to their dramatic semi-final against Barcelona 2 years ago when they overturned a 3-goal deficit to win 4-3. Let's hear from Herr Klopp.
You don't get a comeback because you had a comeback in the past. You only have a chance if you play really good football in the present, and that's what we have to do. The best situation would be if you don't bring yourself in a situation that you need a comeback. But obviously that's not worth to talk about now. But the situation is clear. The situation is clear. That's why this competition is so interesting, because you have these rules like the away goal counts different and all these kind of things, and so that makes it really exciting. And
the magical Anfield nights, Alois, walking out on the pitch for warm-up. Listen, I've never been there, act like I ran out there. But you see those images of the singing of You'll Never Walk Alone. None of that happening tonight because there are no fans in the stadium. So how do you create the magic of Anfield without the magicians, the fans?
I don't see any magic coming out from Anfield tonight. They did that against Barcelona because the fans were there and they had the backing of that Anfield atmosphere. I don't see it happening, and I also don't think that they have the players right now at the moment to actually do that comeback. I don't think so at the moment. They are a little bit depleted, and they have got a defense that can actually let in goals. And I actually see Real Madrid scoring a goal. They've got a goal. Liverpool might win the game. They might win the game at home, yes, but Real Madrid will score. Probably for me, I should predict maybe 2-1 to Liverpool, yes, but they won't win against Real Madrid, because if pressed for a result, even if Liverpool score 2 goals, I'm sure that Real Madrid will go out and hunt for that goal. Even if Liverpool scores 3 goals, Real Madrid will hunt for the 2 goals. I'm sure they will find it.
And that's a tragedy, isn't it, that Liverpool has to win by 2 clear goals, and it's hard to see those goals. Or do you think differently, Mikey?
The goals may come, but if Liverpool is to qualify, it has to be a clean sheet. Real Madrid cannot score. And I think that is the easiest way for Liverpool, and I say easy in quotes, okay, because it's going to be a very difficult game for Liverpool for precisely the reasons that Alois has said. Real Madrid has got a goal threat, a multiple goal threat. They got Karim Benzema, they got Vinicius Jr., they got Toni Kroos, Luka Modric. Those are all even Casemiro is able to weigh in with goals as well. So they got a multiple goal threat. Now it comes down to whether Liverpool will be able to keep Real Madrid out and whether Liverpool can rediscover their efficiency. The one thing that Liverpool look back on is that night versus Barcelona. No one gave them a chance. No one gave them a chance, and they pulled it off, but it was a perfect night. They'll have to repeat it.
Yeah, and can you have another perfect night? Well, it remains to be seen tonight. In the other match, Pep Guardiola has challenged his players to take the next step in the Champions League as they clash with Borussia Dortmund. They are leading 2-1, so that makes it a very entertaining and interesting fair, potentially, where Pep Guardiola is concerned. As good a chance as any for the Sky Blues of Manchester taking on Borussia Dortmund. That's all we have time for, guys. We've got to go. We'll be back tomorrow for our shortened edition of ZiFM Sport. Don't miss it at 6:05. For now, may God richly bless you. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Manandi, out.